Well, bailouts for those who couldn't figure out what they were getting into. That kind of sums up my next guest's view of things, says that maybe we wouldn't be in this pickle if more of us just read and understood what the heck we were signing and financially doing. Sadly, few of us do. Braun Mincher has started something called the Financial Literacy Project. He's also the author of The Secrets of Money. Braun, welcome.
Thanks, Neil.
You and I chatting briefly during the break here that we just don't teach this stuff. Basic financial stuff that's not complicated, but the basic stuff.
And we all need that. You know, 20, 30 years ago, it was a lot less complex than it is today. Everybody had a pension plan and Social Security to rely on. Now it's all in the hands of the consumer with IRAs and 401ks. You used to go to your local bank and get your mortgage. Now there's 600 different kinds of exotic mortgages. And my challenge is that we don't teach people at any age, any income level, any education. We let people graduate from high school. We would never think about letting them graduate without knowing math, English, or science. But we let them out in the real world without knowing the basics of financial education.
I'm amazed they let me out of high school because there wasn't a number in front of the decimal point, but that was that. So let me ask you, do you think a lot of these subprime issues, say nothing about nefarious lenders and the issues that politicians raise, was just the fact that people were stupid?
They didn't know, and it's not their fault because, again,
well, they didn't read.
They didn't know. They didn't have the knowledge.
Talk to someone to get them to know. I mean, it's the biggest purchase of their lives.
They don't have the basic financial education. It's not their fault. We don't do a good job of educating our consumers on the basics of financial literacy.
All right, but here's where you and I might disagree. Yes, they don't know, and they got into something that was in over their heads, but they signed a document without even advising a friend or colleague or someone who knew this to know that, hey, adjustable rates adjust up too.
And they need to get that education. And so whether they go take a class, they buy my book, somebody else's book, however they get that, ask a friend. The challenge is a lot of the supposed professionals in this industry are driven by commission. And so the people that you are relying on to give you insight and give you good advice are motivated by a commission in their pocket. We would never think of paying our CPA at the end of the year for doing our taxes. Their compensation, we normally pay a flat fee or an hourly fee. But what if we said, well, hey, Mr. CPA, you're going to get a percentage of whatever my tax liability is to the government? We would never think that's okay. You apply that same model to the real estate business and the mortgage business, and you look at the people who are really professionals being motivated by money and their fiduciary responsibility to their client. I think that they're...
Well, I think there's partly truth to that, Braun, but I mean, the fact is 95% of people who took out mortgages and continued to pay their mortgages on time either didn't get into this pickle or are paying responsibly, maybe read their documents. I think it's a sweeping indictment to say that everyone is in this pickle, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there is a sort of personal responsibility with this too, right?
At the end of the day, we have to take responsibility for what we sign, just like you said. If my signature's on the document, it's my responsibility. But we as society have a responsibility to provide financial literacy education to everybody, just like
there's no incentive for schools to do that.
There's not. And you look at the way schools are rated, they're rated on how, and benchmarked against each other, how do their kids do on the standardized tests, how many kids go on to college. None of this involves financial literacy, and that's why, even though I have a challenge out there to high schools across the country to make financial literacy classes a graduation requirement.
Why can't we make it even elective in high school?
We need to make it a requirement. I think a semester-long class, absolutely. It's just as important as math, English, or science.
Maybe the teachers don't know it.
And that's a whole different issue. But the thing is to bring awareness to the topic and how important it is, and it is affecting all of us at some point in our lives.
You are exactly right. On that we agree, my friend. Braun Mincher, thank you very much. Financial literacy. Maybe we would not be in the trouble we're in if more people just simply took the time to ask questions and to learn.